Yeah, we're live. How's it going, everybody? Hey guys, my name is Orit, and I want to welcome all of our viewers right now who are watching live or either on the replay. And in today's creative success story, we got a really special one for you guys. We're interviewing author of Your One Word, Evan Carmichael, live on our YouTube channel. He's going to share his wisdom on creating momentum in your business and mastering this complicated, convoluted world called entrepreneurship. Thanks for being here, Evan.
Well, what? Let's do it. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Talking entrepreneurship. What do we got? Hit me up.
Awesome. Well, yeah. For those of you who are watching live, if you have any questions at any point in this call, just let us know. Leave them in the chat here. We have Jewel, a business partner, womaning the back end of things here. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I want to give a brief introduction. Is that okay, Evan? Because for those of you who don't,
your show, know, whatever you want to do, I'm going to roll with it.
Okay. Well, Evan's first business venture was selling his own drawings door to door at 5 years old. At 19, he built, then sold a biotech software company. At 22, he was a VC helping raise $500K to $15 million. And now he's considered one of the top 40 social marketing talents by Forbes and was named one of the top 100 great leadership speakers for your next conference by Inc. magazine. Guys, this Evan just breathes and bleeds entrepreneurship, and he aims to help 1 billion entrepreneurs succeed in their businesses. Evan, where does this drive come from? Where does all of this drive come from?
You know what? I remember when I was a kid, and behind me, you can kind of see, let me see, go this way, you can see, that's me when I'm 7 years old, and my two parents. My one word is believe, and that comes from them. But the drive to do something big, I remember, I don't know, I was around 7 years old, around that time, and I was doing a family newspaper. I wanted to interview my parents and different people, and I made this newspaper together. And I remember interviewing my mom for my family newspaper, and it was just something that I hand wrote, you know, it's just like my own thing. And I asked her why she wanted to be a constitutional lawyer. I said, why do you want to be a lawyer? And she said, I'm not just a normal lawyer, I'm a constitutional lawyer. And the difference is constitutional lawyers are the people who get to change the laws that are written, where a lawyer just like enforces the laws that exist. Constitutional lawyers create the new laws. And so I think that inspired me to want to do bigger things, to not just live and not just exist and not just help a few people, but to have bigger ambitions to go off and do something on a much bigger scale. And I just believe that if you have the ability to do more, you have the responsibility to do more as well. Some people don't have the ability. Some people, you know, they can't build a better life for themselves. But most of us can. If you have the ability, then you have the responsibility as well.
Awesome. Well, I think each and every one of us are just such powerful beings in ourselves, right? We have the power to do great things. And yeah, it's our duty to take on that power and just and roll with it and put it into something that you love, right?
It's our duty. I love it. I like that. I might use that.
Can you tell us more about how you got started, Evan?
Yeah, I had entrepreneurial tendencies my whole life growing up. You mentioned the 5-year-old story. You know, when I grew up a little bit older, I was doing baseball cards. I was doing lemonade stands. I had all these little entrepreneurial ventures, but I didn't have entrepreneurs around me. My parents encouraged me to do whatever I wanted and made me feel like I could believe in myself, but they weren't entrepreneurs themselves. And so I thought I was going to be a banker. If you look at my high school yearbook, like, where are you going to be in 10 years? VP at a bank. That's what I thought I wanted to do. And it really started to change university when I connected with two people who had started a biotech software company, and I joined as a third owner of the business, and we helped turn that into a successful enterprise. It started off in total failure and it was the worst period of my life and just feeling so down on myself of putting all this work in. And for anybody who started a business, you know how hard it is at the start and how depressing it can get when you're not seeing the results and you're putting in so much hustle. And that business ended up taking off. We could talk more about it if you want, but that just set my path. I turned down high-paying jobs to go off and start my own thing, mostly because I didn't want to live with regret. I could live with failing. I could live with this business not taking off when I'm making $300 a month. I could live with that, but I had to know because I didn't want to sit here and like 10 years later look back and say, I wish, like, what if I just did that? You know, and like we have all these moments.
Yeah.
What if I just asked her out, or what if I just took that opportunity? What if I just said yes here, right? And I didn't want to live with regret. And so that was the hardest single decision of my life. And then every other time I've had a difficult decision, I just look through that window. Am I going to regret saying no or saying yes to this? And that makes the decision easier.
Well, you mentioned, entrepreneurs, we have this thing where we're getting into our business and we're just kind of trekking along. And, if someone's been struggling for years in their business, we all have, big dreams and goals and stuff, but there are just so many things that an entrepreneur needs to take on. And it can get really tough, right? You know that someone's really been struggling. They're not where they want to be, and just kind of trekking along with where things are at.
And then 3, I think, just thinking about how you can model success. This is what saved my business when I wanted to quit at my company, my first software company. And then I realized that, you know what, I'm not the first guy to try to sell software before. Like, somebody has figured this out. If I just learn from that person, I can apply those strategies to my business. And so I modeled Bill Gates, who started Microsoft. And I've never met Bill Gates, but he saved my company. And I looked at the strategies of how did he start Microsoft? Not how does Microsoft grow now? Who cares? It's a huge company. But like, start. How did he start? 0 to 1. That's what I wanted to do. And I modeled him and I applied that to my business, and we started to grow. And so whatever dreams, whatever goals, whatever business you have, somebody's already figured it out. It may not be exactly what you want to do, and that's good because you're different. You're an entrepreneur. You can put your own twist on it. But people have already figured it out. And so understanding what they did and trying to break down their success could be really helpful, so that if you're hustling and grinding, you're spending your time on the right things that will help you, as opposed to the things that aren't leading to success.
So when you say model after them, you mean like you don't necessarily have to meet this person. You can just read their books or watch their interviews. Is that how you learned from Bill Gates, for example?
Yeah, so there's 2 kinds of mentors. There's the regular mentors that people think about, where you go for coffee and they're local and you can go meet them and they break down your business. And I never had that, right? Like, my parents taught me so much about life and being a human being, but never about business. And nobody in my family was an entrepreneur, and so I had nobody to go and have coffee with. I went to my banker and said, hey, can you help me with my business? And he's like, well, do you need a loan? Like, no, I don't know. Do I need a loan? I don't know. He's like, yeah, you're not really in the right place. Like, I didn't know anybody. And so I looked to what I call aspirational mentors. These are people who you aspire to be like or aspire to learn from. And some people may have already passed on and you'll never meet them. Like, I have Steve Jobs up on my wall. I'm never going to meet him, obviously. And a lot of people behind me, some I may meet one day, or some have passed on. And so I look at 2 kinds of what I call aspirational mentors. The first are in your industry. Whatever you want to do, somebody has done it. You want to be a successful YouTuber? There's lots of people who've done it. Go and model them, see what they did. The more successful they are, the more information there is on them, whether it's interviews or books or magazine articles. Like, their story is somewhere. And again, look to how they got started as opposed to what they're doing now, because it's a different scale. And then the second kind are just the people who you look up to. If I love Oprah Winfrey, I can learn something from her, even if I don't want to have my own talk show. If you love Michael Jordan, you could learn from him, even if you never want to be a basketball player. Like, the way that he works and his hustle and effort, and he's in the gym, you can apply that to your life and to your business, even if you never go on to try to become an NBA player. So those 2 things, the people who have done what you want to do, and maybe you hate them, but you can still learn from their success, right? And just do it your way. And then the people who you just really look up to and really admire and say, one day I want to have that kind of impact. Again, understanding how they got started and modeling their success to help you get your breakthrough.
Amazing stuff. You mentioned also really knowing what your why is, having your why, and not just thinking about the money, but having a bigger goal. Like, what is this bigger thing that you're going after? That gets me excited. I mean, we're all, as entrepreneurs, we're creators, right? And so if we're each creating something and adding our own little piece into the world, it's just like you said, it's a ripple effect that could change this world for good, right? That's amazing. Evan, I want you to talk more about your book. So first of all, let's start here. What inspired you to write this book? What's the purpose of it?
The purpose of the book is finding the one core value that you stand for. It's called Your One Word. It's understanding what is your single most important core value, and then how can you live a life and then create a business around it. So you start working with the right people, you start creating more value in the world, you start attracting more awesomeness into your life. I wrote this because I think a lot of people are kind of living in a rut a little bit. It's not that your life sucks. You just feel like there's more. There's so many people, and I felt this myself. I felt like, you know what, I have more potential than what I'm doing right now. Life is good, but I know I could be doing more. How do I access that gear? Like, what am I missing? Why can I not be at that higher level than where I'm at now? If your life totally sucks, it's easy to make that shift because, you know, you hate where you are now. But when life is just good and everybody around you is like admiring the work you're doing, say, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you know, you're so lucky you get to create your own hours and do your own thing. Like, who's pushing you to do more and be better? And so I think a lot of people feel like they have that extra gear in them that they don't know how to access, that you're nowhere close to your ceiling, even if life is good right now. And so how do you find that extra gear? Well, it starts with self-awareness. If you understand who you are as a human being, then you can start to live a life and run a business with more purpose. And so it started through my own personal journey, and then going out and interviewing entrepreneurs who had built $50,000 businesses, $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, and $150 million businesses around their one word core value. How do they do it? And breaking down their strategies to write the handbook on it so that people who are reading it, especially the ones who want to be entrepreneurs, they have a roadmap to be able to follow to apply it to their life to start and then to their business. Instead of having these happy accidents and happy moments that sometimes come into your life, I want you to create a system where you can automatically pull those into your life with purpose, ongoing. And so when you figure that out, tremendous things can happen, and it happened in my business and my life, and a lot of people who've read the book and applied it too. So it's been a pretty fun, amazing ride.
I'm about halfway through Evan's book, and it's really, really incredible. It's kind of like the Nas. The fire that will just make you go like it'll just ignite something within you. And it's interesting too how simplistic it is, but again, it's that ripple effect. It can really impact you in many different ways. And one question that came to my mind when I was reading through it, you know, you talk about how to come up with your one word and that sort of thing. I was struggling a little bit with, how do I just pick one word, you know, one word out of so many things that I am passionate about and that I stand for. So what would you say to that question?
Yeah, so for people going through the exercise, one of the things I have them do is write down all the things that have made you happy in the past, made you come alive. What do you love about who's your favorite teacher and what do you love about them? What did you love about your parents? What's your favorite book and movie and song? And so make a list of the things and moments that have made you come alive. And then think about why those made you come alive. What was it about those people, those events, those things that you've consumed that made you feel amazing? Because we've all had those moments of boldness, amazingness, happiness, fulfillment, but it's not consistent. Maybe you watch this interview and it's 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon and you get inspired for the rest of the day, but like, what about tomorrow morning? You're going to wake up and it's gone. So how do we design it so that that's every single day? So when you have a list of words, the idea of getting it down to one is important because, well, first of all, just having a list of words is already more self-awareness than what you had before. So that's already growth. That's already progress. You can already use some of that. Getting it down to one is important because we tend to overcomplicate our life. And for the people who have a hard time getting down to one, they usually are perfectionists and everything has to be perfect. And then that can hold them, like that desire to be perfect prevents them from doing something and just getting started. And so we tend to overcomplicate our lives, and that makes it difficult for you to live a good life because there's too many options, and so you do nothing. And it's also difficult for people to spread the message. You know, if if you watch my show, my channel, it's all about believe. That's my one word. It's easy for people to spread that. You're an entrepreneur. You need people to spread your message for you. We don't have the money to go out and buy Super Bowl commercials. If you do, great, that's awesome, good luck. But for, the 99.99% of the rest of us, we don't have huge marketing budgets. And so how small businesses grow is through word of mouth. So you need people talking about you. You need to give them a simple message for them to share for you. If it's complicated, nobody's gonna remember 3 words. Nobody's gonna remember 5 words. It's just too much. Give them one thing to remember. And then again, back for your life, there's so many companies that have a list of, our 13 core values. Like go to any popular company, look at their website, they have their core values. Here's a list of like the 7 to 13 core values they have. I bet you nobody in the company could name them by heart. The CEO couldn't name them by heart. And that becomes a problem. If you don't know, if there's too many things to keep up in your head, then you're not actually going to live them. If you can't remember them, you're not living them. And so that's why it's important to really figure it out. You get it, you narrow it down, you figure out what the one thing is that's most important to you. And sometimes that's combining them. So my dad had, adventure, because he loves adventurous things, but he's also a really nice, caring person. He's like, well, how do you combine adventure with caring? And for him, it became heart. So heart, like the adrenaline of the heart, boom, 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 but also heart caring. And so that ended up being the thing for him. So you want it to be a filter through which you make decisions, as well as the message that other people can spread for you. And the simpler it is, the more likely it's going to happen. When you overcomplicate things, it's the enemy of execution. It means you don't get stuff done. When it's simple, you're much more likely to move forward.
Well, what about, because on this channel, we talk a lot towards creative entrepreneurs and artists as well as small businesses. What if, someone has multiple things that they love doing, multiple things that they're passionate about, then they love doing some of the, selling some of their craft items that they've made, or they love doing acting classes on the side, and all these different things. Is that a bad thing then? Is that, it's not just one thing that they're focused around?
I think that's where you have to go all in on both of them. I think that's how you stand out and how you're different and unique. There's an example. A buddy of mine is a financial advisor, and he's a financial advisor. Like, how many people are financial advisors? They help you invest their money. There's tons of financial advisors. He also really liked hockey. We're Canadian. I'm from Canada. Hockey's our national sport almost.
I'm in Vancouver here.
Oh, there you go. All right. Sweet. Yeah, Canada in the house. And he's the kind of guy who could watch a hockey replay, 13 times and still love it again and be all excited. And so, like, those seem like two totally different, how do you combine loving hockey with financial advising? And the way he blended it was he became the financial advisor for NHL hockey players. And now when he's talking to the hockey players, they have a lot of money because they're professional athletes. He could talk to them about the money side, but he can also talk to them about the hockey side. And so you can relate to them in a way that most financial advisors can't, because most financial advisors only know the financial advisor. They just see the hockey player as a meal ticket, somebody to make money from, but they don't connect with them on the same level. So if you have multiple passions, the best thing to do is try to find a way to combine them, because that's how you're going to be unique. Because if you only do acting, or you only do art, or you only do whatever, one, you're never going to be the best at it, because there's always going to be this other thing that you're drawn to. And two, you're not going to have a really big differentiator. Like, you're going to look like everybody else. And there's always going to be this piece of you that's missing. It's like, I'm doing this, but I want to be over here too. And so that's the way you win as an entrepreneur is to be unique. If you look like everybody else, you're going to fail, right? Then the only way to compete is on price. And you don't want to compete on price. You don't want to race to the bottom on price. You can't sustain it. So how do you charge more is by being unique. And how are you unique? By combining all the things that you love to do together into one thing. And so, especially for creative artists, this is what you're good at. Come up with creative ways to smush things together. Use that creativity to find a way to smush something together, to do something only you can do, and then share that with the world. This is how you're going to be. This is how you're going to stand out. Stop thinking this or this and start thinking and. How do you combine them?
Mm-hmm. Amazing, amazing points. You were talking about money, so another question popped into my head. So, before
for themselves. And so if they can do it, you can too. And I think that the mindset shift, and this is a quote from Steve Wozniak, who's co-founded Apple, was saying, stop focusing on what you don't have and start focusing on what you can do with what you do have right now. Make that shift, because too often we complain, I don't have the money to go buy that guitar, or I don't have the connections to get into that club, or whatever it is. There's always this. Entrepreneurship is hard. There's always going to be something that's going to hold you back. There's always, like, resources are never going to be there to the amount that you want. And so if you only focus on what you don't have, you're never going to get to the point where you're happy. So you focus on what you do have and what you can do. You are resourceful. You're watching this show. If you're subscribed to this channel, you're a resourceful entrepreneur artist who wants to make an impact. And so just shift that mindset. I already have the ability to do amazing things right now. I already have the resources I need to be successful. And I'm going to use what I have right now to go off and do something amazing.
Oh, amazing, amazing stuff, Evan. I love it. And I feel like, that one word, what you're talking about, like yours is believe, right? That's what's pulling you through all of these obstacles, these barriers, everything that comes up. That's what's going to pull you through. And so how do you use your one word in your business? Like, what is the tactical stuff? Like, how do you actually physically use this one word to start this momentum, this movement, and to create awareness around it?
Yeah, so if we're talking, so first off, it helps you in your life and attracting people who are of similar mindset. If we're bringing it to a business, I thought it was a crazy thing to do, to build my whole business around one word. Like, who does this? This sounds nuts. And so I'm the kind of guy who likes to test things. Show me that it works. And if I'm recommending things for entrepreneurs, I want you to prove it to yourself. Show that this works before you dive all in. Don't trust me, like, prove it to yourself that it's going to work. So the first thing I did was I wrote a newsletter, and I had a newsletter list from my business. And so, you know what, I'm going to write one newsletter post around my one word, which is believe, what it meant to me, how I'm using it. And it was the highest newsletter response that I got on any of my newsletters. And my sister wrote to me and she said, I like that newsletter. Like, I actually read your newsletter now. And so it's a kind of like compliment and punch to the stomach that only your sister can give you. It's like, okay, well, that worked. So let me go to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It was still early days for YouTube for me. Let me make a YouTube video around believe. And up to that point, the best video that I had 100,000 views, and it took me 1 year to get there. And I was proud of that. Like, 100,000 views in 1 year is my best video. I was so proud of that video. And then I made one about believe, and that video did 100,000 views in 1 month. And now is at like 2 million views. And so anything I touched around believe just took off, just started doing better because it was authentic to me. And so every major decision that I make is filtered through the lens of believe. And you should for your one word as well. So think of every business decision that you have to make. Okay, my website, I want it to ooze believe. When I'm talking to you, I want believe to come out. I want people to believe in themselves, right? If that doesn't happen, then I failed, right? My logo is an airplane, paper airplane taking off, which for me is, you're an entrepreneur, you don't have the resources, but you want to fly like a jet plane, so you still take off anyway, right? It's believe. What sound effect do I want to have on my website? What's going to make people believe? If I'm hiring a programmer to make my website, I want somebody who doesn't just have the PHP, HTML skills to make my website. I want somebody who believes in the mission of what we're on as well. And so I'll do a job posting of, I want a PHP programmer who believes in entrepreneurs. And I'll lead with what believe means to me. And some people think that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a job ad. Amazing. Don't apply. Like, we are not going to get along. You're going to waste both of our times. I don't even want to read your resume, and you're not going to have fun working with me either. Some people will see that and say, this is awesome. Oh, I can't wait to go work for this company, right? And so they'll put way more time and effort into their resume, into the cover letter, into their application, because they really, really want to work there. And so it's not that it's going to benefit everybody, but you're going to start to bring in the people that will be a good fit for you. Some customers will feel the exact same way. They have a choice. Customers have a choice every day to buy from you or to buy from all of your competitors. How are you going to stand out? I want your customers to love you or to think that that's stupid. I don't care. I'm going to go somewhere else. And so every major decision that you have in your business, major to even the minor ones, what font do you want to use for your logo and what color are you going to use, right? Everything is, how do I get people to feel believe through every experience that I create? And so you want that for your one word as well, for the people watching. If you are living your one word core value, then you're going to bring people in who will love it, who will be way better customers, who will pay you way more money. You'll attract a way better team. You'll bring on better investors. You'll get lots of great media exposure, right? It all starts to happen when you know what you stand for.
That's incredible. I'm just kind of taking in everything you're saying, and I'm feeling the energy pouring off of this. It's incredible. I love this. I have another question for you. What is your biggest challenge right now?
The biggest challenge and biggest fear is living up to my potential. And I think this is something that maybe other entrepreneurs can relate to too. I think it's easy to have people around you who tell you what a good job you're doing and who may envy you that you're an entrepreneur and how great everything is. I have a lot of people in my life who want to be an entrepreneur, who like everything that I've done. You also have the people who tell you that you suck and like, who are you to do this? And I call that person the little man. Just the people who crush your dreams because maybe they tried to go for something and it didn't work out. And now that it didn't work for them, you can't have success either. But we don't have people in our lives who push us forward, right? Who say, I don't have enough of the people in my life who say, Evan, you do great work, but this part sucks. Like you could do better here. Who do we have who holds us accountable, who gives us a hard time, who kicks us not down, but kicks us forward? And I don't have that person in my life. I use my YouTube channel. It's why I started it. All the famous entrepreneurs and the people on the wall behind me, that's what gets me inspired. I think I'm doing a great job when I look at Elon Musk wanting to have a backup plan for the earth. I'm like, man, I'm thinking small. And so the more you're around those kinds of people, and I'm not meeting Elon, I've never met him. I may never meet him, and there's a lot of other people I look up to and respect that I may never meet. But by being around them with videos or books or interviews makes me hold myself to a higher stake. And so I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs is just having higher standards for yourself, for what you will and will not accept from yourself, because nobody holds us accountable for the most part in our work like you would in a job where your boss is saying, you got to get this done. We don't have that person. So we do the things that we want to do, not necessarily the things that are going to make us stretch and grow, because that's painful and scary.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the models that you model after and the people that I look up to too, from the books that I read, the interviews that I watch, when you surround yourself by that environment, those words, what they're saying, everything, that is the kick in the butt for you. That's the kick in the butt to move forward. Instead of, just being content with where things are at, because things might be great right now, right? But it's moving forward that really you never want to stop growing.
A lot of people are stuck in good mode. Mm-hmm. Things are good. Yeah, things are good. Things are fine. Things are good, and your friends are either telling you the good job you're doing, but nobody's really kicking you to go forward and say, you know what, like you could do way better. Let's go. I believe in you. Let's do it.
And how do you deal with
following this person's advice and playing what I think to be small? I can live with it. Maybe the video doesn't work out. Okay, I've had lots of failures. I can live with that, but at least I know that it didn't work, and I can push that aside and not dwell on it and then live 20, 30, 40 years of regret wishing I put that up. So those two things, asking yourself, has this person who's giving me this advice done what I want to do? And usually it's not. And then the person who has, are you going to regret it? Like, are you going to regret not doing this? And if you are, then you have to go out and do it.
This is some great stuff, Evan. Thank you so much. I want to respect your time. I know we're coming up to the end of the half hour here. So any last things that you want to say, that you want to mention?
I would just say that remember what you're doing is important. What you spend your time on today is going to be important. If you are an artist, you create amazing things that moves people in an emotional way. And if you think of every minute that you're spending, you want to be creating something important. Like, I consider myself an artist. I create YouTube videos. That's my art form. Entrepreneurship, I consider to be an art form as well. I want to make something that I want to show my grandkids and say, look what Grandpa Evan did. I want to show this interview to them and say, look what Grandpa Evan did when he was younger. Look, I want to be proud of that. And I think too often we coast and we let time run by and we don't move forward on our projects. Treat today like it's important. Like, if you're excited by this, go and do work and make it important. And tomorrow wake up and realize your time is limited. Do important work, make it count, and create something today that you want to show your grandkids.
That's amazing, Evan. Thank you so much. For those of you who are watching, you can get Evan's book, Your One Word, down in the description below. We have links for you. You can also check out his world on evancarmichael.com. He has some great resources for you. And I'm also going to be doing a full-on review of Evan's book. Like I said, I'm halfway through. It's amazing. By the way, Evan, when I first started reading the book, you start the book with a quote from one of Eminem's songs, Lose Yourself. And right off the bat, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to like this guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is my song to get pumped up before I hit the stage, whether I'm like speaking or performing or anything like that. So that's awesome. And guys, this book is really going to, like I said, light a fire under you. Everything that we've talked about here in this call with, how to come up with your one word, how to apply it, and all this stuff is all in that book. So make sure you grab a copy. All right. Well, thank you so much once again, Evan, for joining us. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Thanks for the love.